Greetings! Thank you for lending an ear to The Voice of the Times for Thursday, December 30, 2021. For today's editorial, Looming conflicts present risks and opportunities for the Philippines. Earlier this month, the global consulting and research firm Economist Intelligence, or EIU, published a report on key risk scenarios it foresees for 2022. Perhaps not surprisingly, China figured prominently on the list. Out of 10 potential risk scenarios described by the EIU, 4 of them are related to China. To be sure, the scenarios presented are speculative. EIU's analysts are highly experienced and have a great deal of information at their disposal, but the scenarios are still just educated guesses, as it were. Given the breadth and importance of the Philippines' relationship with China, however, any of them that actually do occur could put this country in a precarious position, so they are worth careful examination. 3 of these risk scenarios are of particular interest. The first, which EIU thinks is the most likely to happen of all 10 scenarios, is a decoupling of the world economy due to worsening US-China relations. The second is a conflict between China and Taiwan, forcing the US and possibly other countries to intervene. This is ranked 7th of the 10 risk scenarios. That is followed by worsening relations between China and the European Union, which may or may not be related to issues between the US and China. The common thread connecting each of these scenarios is that third-party countries such as the Philippines and most of our Southeast Asian neighbors, which have been careful to keep their options open and maintain friendly relations with both China and the West, may soon have to pick a side. We can imagine a few ways in which the Philippines could be negatively affected. For example, in trade one side or the other, China or the US or the EU might impose punitive measures for political reasons, such as not renewing preferential tariffs for some export goods or subjecting products to annoying non-tariff obstacles such as quotas or additional inspection requirements. One particular way that the US or the EU could apply pressure on the Philippines is by curbing opportunities for our overseas workers. China, on the other hand, could impose limits on its citizens investing in the Philippines or visiting as tourists. The most worrisome scenario, although EIU considers it less likely than some others, is a conflict between China and Taiwan. This would automatically draw the US into the fray, as well as Japan and possibly Australia. The EIU does not believe China will attack Taiwan purposely, but feels the risk is very high of an unintentional escalation, largely due to China's frequent provocative incursions into Taiwanese airspace by fleets of military aircraft. An accident such as a collision between Taiwanese and Chinese aircraft, or a trigger-happy defender on one side or the other opening fire could spark an all-out war, right on the Philippines' doorstep. The political, economic, and perhaps military pressure the Philippines would be placed under by both sides would be immense. From the Philippines' point of view, these scenarios should be considered as serious what-if questions, not something that should change the current policy of maintaining non-aligned good relations with everyone, but possibilities for which the country should have a plan. Having an understanding of possible, although hopefully unlikely conflicts and developing a strategy to protect the Philippines in case they come to pass will also clarify ways in which the Philippines can benefit from the circumstances. For example, companies that cannot do business in the US or China due to ongoing trade and political squabbles can be attracted to set up shop here, with the Philippines serving as a sort of bridge between Eastern and Western markets. Likewise, in the event of a China-Taiwan war, the Philippines could turn its vulnerable strategic position to an advantage, helping to moderate and put an end to the conflict. Whatever course our leaders chart, it should begin with a change of perspective. Rather than resigning itself to its traditional role as a client state of bigger powers, the Philippines is actually in a position to positively influence their behavior. And that's the editorial for Thursday, December 30, 2021. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to its digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, and listen to the Voice of the Times.